All right.
This is Charlie Parsons for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store. Had a bit of time off for Christmas, celebrated the New Year. Spencer Oliver, we're back. You might be feeling a little bit ropey off the back of the celebrations for the New Year, but we're good to go for an interview.
Absolutely, mate. Listen, I think everyone's feeling a little bit fragile, aren't they? Apart from you, told me actually you never went out on New Year's. You was a good boy, but
Was
everyone goes out New Year's, mate. You got to celebrate going into the new year and look forward to hopefully what I think is going to be a bigger and better one. I really do.
not to tell the Boxing Social viewers too much about my personal life, but you know what it was? The missus said she was ill, and I thought, I'm gonna be the good man.
No, mate, you can't have that one. Like that's basically your missus don't want to go out. She's slung you the old line of, "Oh, I'm ill, mate," and you being the man that you are,
Yeah,
you know what I mean, the loyal, good man that you are.
yeah.
You've stuck by her. So no, well done, mate. I've got to tell you, actually, I weren't well, and I still went out. Like I proper weren't well. Like on New Year's Eve, like I don't know, like let's just say like 1 o'clock, just as soon as we hit the afternoon, I got a head cold, mate. Like when I say a head cold, like a proper one. Do you know what I mean? I
Caitlin, I
thought,
hope
mate,
you're listening to this because you should have been out with me. Spencer managed to go out.
yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah. So I had a proper head cold. And I thought, I'm not gonna be able to do this. But I thought, no, Spence, stop feeling sorry for yourself. Get yourself together, son. I went out. As soon as I first couple of pints went down, I sort of pulled myself back together. Yeah, it was a good night, mate. Celebrated the new year with my missus, and it was nice.
Good man. We now look forward into 2023. Still feels a bit weird saying that, but we're expecting a really strong schedule from all promotional outlets to start the year. Touch a little bit on Boxer. We've got sort of the
Yeah.
only real announcement with Eubank and Smith in Manchester in January. Really looking forward to this now. Eubank becoming what was seen before people, spoke about the word arrogant, all this and all that. Maybe now people warming to him as a bit of a likable villain, perhaps.
Absolutely. Listen, I mean, look, we have to feel sorry for you, mate. You know what happened with the Conor Ben situation, the fight falling through at the final hour. He put a lot of commitment into that. It was going to be a huge fight. Unfortunately, we didn't get it over the line for whatever reasons. I think that's all still ongoing at the moment. We're waiting to hear Conor Ben's statement still on that situation. But, Eubank was left without a fight, put all that hard work in, and now he goes again. So, yeah, he's gone from I don't know, yeah, sort of pantomime villain to sort of hero, really, isn't he, with that situation? So, yes, it'll be interesting to see the crowd reaction actually with Eubank. I know we're up in Manchester, which is next door to Liverpool, and that's where Smith's from, and he's well liked up there. So there's going to be a lot of Smith fans up there. But interesting to see the reaction that Eubanks gets as well, because over the last few months, with what's gone on and whatnot, I think he's become, a little bit of a fan's favourite. So, I'm looking forward to it. That's a real 50-50 fight, that as well. Like, Eubanks isn't a prospect anymore. He's at that stage of his career where they're just sort of like, a loss for any one of those two is going to be massively damaging. I know it's not like career ending, but they're at the stage of their careers that a loss to try and rebuild at this stage of their careers is going to be difficult to come back from, because what sort of appetite are they going to have? What sort of hunger are they going to get? Because I think the winner goes on and challenges for world titles. It's a massive fight anyway, but the winner goes on and challenges for world titles, and the loser has to rebuild again. And I'm not sure at this stage of both of their careers that they would be willing to do that. So a lot on the line, and it's a great fight, mate. I think that Liam Smith has made it quite public that he can't afford to lose to Eubank Jr. Eubanks is great at getting inside people's heads. That's what he does. He's one of those guys that sort of likes to wind his opponents up, annoys them. And I think he's already done that with Smith. So Smith says that a loss is not even thinkable. It's like that's going to be hard for him to overcome. So both guys are going to give it everything.
Something that always
Great fight.
Something that always brings the hype with a fight is the gloves are off. I spoke to Calla on a little sit down about a week ago now, and he said when the public viewing commences for the gloves are off, it's going to be obscene. We've already seen the sort of war of words on social media. Liam Smith clearly doesn't like Eubank Jr. he says he's coming in 50%, yet here he is fucking sparring on Christmas Day, things like that. We need Needle on these good fights. And like you say, all to play for. A loss doesn't look good now at these stages of their career, maybe in the sort of latter stage. Obviously Eubank, if he wants to get that Golovkin fight, which he spoke about for so long, he needs to do nothing than have an excellent performance here.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely, mate. It's all on the line for both of these guys. Like I say, at the stage of their career now, Smith, former world champion, wants to get back, in title contention, wants another world title shot or to win another world title. He has to win. And, a thought of a loss to Eubank would seriously damage him. So, he's going to be giving it everything at this stage. And Eubank's equally, forget all the mind games of 50% and all that. That's what Eubank does. He done it with Conor, and he's now using, saying that he thinks actually this is would be an easier fight than the Conor one because of the stages of the career. He knows what Smith is bringing to the table where he didn't with Conor Ben. So look, both guys are going to give it everything, mate, because they both recognise that this is the last roll of the dice. World title level is probably the best way of putting it. So it's going to be sensational, mate. It's a great card they're putting together up there right now. Actually, Boxer. Looking at the year ahead, knowing a lot of the fights that they've not announced yet that they're sort of putting into place, and knowing what they are, what they're coming up with. There's a lot of great shows coming up. Boxer have got a strong year ahead. They really have, mate. It's exciting times. I know they're going to announce Jack Catterall and Josh Taylor soon. That's going to be announced very, very soon as well, and many more fights that I'm excited about, mate. It's going to be a big year.
Look, Spence, I've got to ask you about Boxer. Obviously, we've seen that purse bid's been secured for Lawrence Okoli. We're waiting on an announcement, like you say, for Josh Taylor against Jack Catterall in a rematch. They came out strong last year. It was their first full year in boxing with the backing of Sky, obviously starting in 2021. Looking forward to 2023 now. They've done their sort of breakout competition year. It's time for more statements to be put on display from Boxer. And I suppose I've been speaking to so many people, and we've been getting guests on who aren't necessarily in the boxing public every single day, but they're saying how refreshing it is to be able to have sort of so many promoters where they're looking at such a good schedule. And at the end of the day, even if we had the old clash, it can only pave the way for good things. We're talking about more in the sport that we love.
Absolutely. Competition's good. It's healthy. Eddie Hearn's doing a great job, doing what he's doing. Frank Warren is doing an incredible job as well. He's got all the heavyweights tied up, so he can make big fights in 2023 as well. And Boxer, at a young, fresh team that have come onto the scene, bounced onto the scene. They had a good year last year, very good year. They're looking at a stronger year again this year. And so it's healthy, mate. BT, Sky Sports, DAZN. It's healthy. Competition is healthy because the promoters look to put on the best shows, and that's only good for the paying public.
Let me ask you about a man who has sort of done his whole build-up and career on Sky, Anthony Joshua. He now does go over to DAZN, and we're seeing Eddie Hearn maybe put out the idea of a free fight plan for him moving forward. I think a lot of the public are a little bit, I suppose, waiting to hear more, because with AJ, as we know, we've been promised sort of 3 fights a year and activity for a while. We haven't quite got it, but we're saying maybe a top 15 opponent in the spring, Dillian White in the summer, and then Fury or Wilder at the end of the year. Do you believe that we see that? It's got to the point now where I sort of find myself coming back to do these interviews, and I'm asking, will we see this Fury fight? But do we see 3 fights this year? Do we see one of those 2 at the end?
I think AJ needs 3 fights this year. I really think he does. And I think we're at the stage at the moment. And the reason that this comeback fight after the loss to Usyk has been prolonged as long as it has is because AJ needs that confidence installed back inside him. And at the moment, he's struggling to settle with the right trainer. He's over in the States at the moment, looking for the right trainer. And speaking as an ex-fighter, I know how important that is, because that's the missing link that you need. AJ's at a stage of his career at the moment that, he's at the stage of his career where we maybe got another couple of years left or so, and so he wants to get it right. He wants to become a freeweight world champion, and everything has to be in place. Every part of the jigsaw has to be there. And at the moment, there's a massive part of the jigsaw missing in finding the right trainer, because you need that confidence of, getting the right trainer. And that's what he's struggling with at the moment. That's why I think that they've, prolonged this comeback. And they're now talking about April time. Ideally, in an ideal world, and I can't speak for Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua, but knowing what I know, I think that that's the ideal situation, that he comes back with a top 15, Dillian White, and the winner, Fury or a Wilder fight, something like that. That would be ideal. Whether that happens, like Charlie, mate, we was talking about AJ Fury, for the best part of 3 years now, and it was on and it was off. And then the last time, especially in December, I thought we're going to get this over the line. We're finally going to get it. That was probably closer than it's ever been before. And because of commercial deals and whatnot, the fight broke down again. AJ's at the stage of his career now, though, that he doesn't need loads of comeback fights and, warm-up fights, because they're all potentially dangerous now. There's some big names out there, like your Frankie Sanchez and Hrgovic and all those type of guys. They're all dangerous. So for Anthony Joshua, he needs to get himself back in the mix sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
I get that he needs a warm-up fight for the confidence building thing and to adjust with the new trainer, whoever that's going to be. Dillian White makes sense because, they've got history together and it's a fight that the British public would pay to see, would like to see. And then we need the big fight from him. I think we can allow him that. Anthony Joshua, I think we can allow him the comeback fight, Dillian White fight. And then I think we need to see him in a big fight. And he does need to be against a Fury or a Wilder. And I think that anything less than that and the public won't accept it. That's where we're at now with Anthony Joshua, So interesting to see where what happens in the next couple of months. But I know he's desperately trying to find the right trainer at the moment. And he wants to get back in there and he wants to become freeweight world champion. He wants it sooner rather than later. So, time's not on his side. He can't spend 2 years trying to rebuild and get himself back into the mix. He needs to do it this year. So they've got the right idea. I think Eddie, that free fight plan sounds right.
Just hope we see it.
I think anything less, mate, and I think the public won't accept it,
Yeah. Look, Spencer, I know you've got things to get on with, so I'll just keep it brief with one more. We've been sort of looking over the period of Christmas and the start of the new year back at 2022. I remember listening to you on TalkSport, your last show of the year, and you sort of done a review of the year, and I think you sort of weighed it up as a good year, but probably not the best that boxing could have brought us in the way that, we thought we had certain fights like our Fury AJs. But now on to 2023. From what we've had at the start of the year, I know last year started exceptionally fast. It feels like this way for 2023. Do you believe that we see a good year now in boxing? And what are your thoughts off the back of last year?
I really do, mate. I think that, the back of last year, I think that, you're right in what you say. When I've done an end of year summary and a roundup, we got some great fights, but we had a lot of controversial decisions and we had a lot of fights that we thought we were going to get that fell through. And it was frustrating, not just for people like us who work in the industry, but, I think it was frustrating, for the public as well, not getting the fights that we wanted to get. And then we had, I think on the plus side, we had breakthrough moments like, the all-girls shows of Anna Marshall and Clarissa Shields, and they really delivered. That fight got cancelled. That show got cancelled due to the passing of the Queen, and that was rightly so. And I didn't know if we would get that fight back together. We got the whole show back together, not just the fight. So that was testament to the girls, how women's boxing has evolved, over the last few years. That's going on from strength to strength. And I think that 2023 is going to be a big year, mate. I really do. I think we're going to get the fights, some of the fights that we wanted to see that we didn't last year. But I think we are a little bit closer to them now. And I think that both also fighters are in their stages of their careers, like your Anthony Joshua's and your Tyson Furies. They're at that stage of their careers where they need those fights now as well, because they're in the sort of like twilight of their careers. So I think we will get them. I think that we'll get them over the line. I'm really pleased that the Jack Catterall, Josh Taylor fight's going to come up. He's back on as well. And we are going to get that. I think they're talking March sort of time. That fight is over the line. I think contracts have been signed. That's a fight that the public wanted to see again. Fair play to Josh Taylor for giving Catterall that opportunity again, because for me, it was a one-sided fight going into that one. Whatever, Josh Taylor's problems were, whether it was underestimating Jack Catterall or whatever, he's got a chance now to right the wrongs of the last fight, the last decision, And equally, Jack Catterall's got that opportunity to become world champion. I know it's not going to be undisputed, which it was before, but at least we get that fight again, and that's what we wanted to see. Let's hope we get these heavyweight fights over the line as well. The comeback of Anthony Joshua is going to be great. There's loads of prospects coming through as well, and I think that we're going to see a few more stars emerging over 2023, man. I'm really excited, man. Really excited. There's a lot of fights that I know are going to be announced and are not happening that I can't at the moment, but I know that they're very close to being made and whatnot. So from what I know, mate, yeah, it's going to be a good year. It's going to be a big year.
Spencer, just finally from me, have you got a bold prediction that we can sort of, by the end of 2023, something that you think is going to happen that might sort of surprise a few of us?
I think by the end of 2023, and I know a lot of people don't think this is going to happen now because it does, I think we get Joshua Fury by the end of 2023.
Wow.
I think we get that over the line because I know it's a fight that both fighters wanted, right? And that's important. And I know the fight collapsed last time, and it probably wasn't in Joshua's favour because it was an opportunity to come out of nowhere to get back to the top of the tree and fight for all the marbles again. But I think it was too soon for him, and I think there was too many problems going on behind the scenes, like the commercial deals, etc., and it made it very difficult. But I know it's a fight that both fighters want, and they're sort of running out of time, and I think that we will get that.
Mate, thank you very much for your time. Always a pleasure talking. No doubt I'll bump into you shortly and catch up for a little overdue pint after a show or somewhat.
I'm looking forward to that, mate. I'm doing dry January at the moment, so it's going to be a bit
a non-alcoholic pint or something.
Well, do you know what? Do you know what? Do you know, my missus don't think I'll stick to it, by the way. But I'm doing dry January because you know when you have like a big New Year's Eve and then you feel like shit New Year's Day and then you still feel like shit on the second, and now we're on the third. I'm starting to recover again. But then you go, that's it. I'm done. You've got all these plans, didn't you? But I'm going to stick with it, mate. Yeah, I'm going to stick with it. I'm looking forward to giving myself that challenge.
Look, so yeah. Thank you, brother, for speaking to us at Boxing Social.